The first part of this video is just going to be removing the old shock off the bike. I'm using an impact gun on the two bottom bolts just to get them loosened off. They're quite hard to get to and they're on tight from the factory, so to save myself struggling, I just get a couple of turns loose on these two bolts on the bottom. There's only two bolts to loosen off. So I've got these loose. I can use my sockets to get them out. Use two 19mm socket wrenches to get them loosened off. So you've got the two nuts off the end. You can withdraw the bolts. Just push the bolts through. One bolt's the bottom of the shock, the other one's for the tie bars. Swing them out of the way now and drop that down. You got access to the shock now. Had to remove both side panels. There's a hole in the frame on the right hand side where you can get a socket through to undo the top bolts. As you can see, it's pretty tight even though I've got a long bar. Couldn't get it to move, so time to break out the impact gun again. Give it a couple of turns, get it loosened off. It's got it loose, but the whole boat's just turning around now, so I need to find a way to hold it on the other side. So I've got to take the side panel off the other side as well, so I can get to the top of the shock absorber bolt on this side. Just need to take that panel off. You can't get to it directly. I use the universal joint because the frame's in the way. You need to sort of get your hand underneath and get a socket onto the bolt there. Once you've got it on, you can hold it in position. And then you can loosen the nut off the other end of the bolt. Just hold it on that side. It's nice and loose now, it should just come off. Pull out slowly so you got the bolt in the end of the socket. So that's that bolt off. Don't forget to disassemble your preload adjuster. This is your remote preload for your shock. Unbolt that and you can feed it through. Try and get it through behind the swing arm somehow. Find a way to feed it through. I'm just going to put a scissor jack under the bottom of the shock before I take the top bolt. Push the top bolt out. I'm just going to support it, save it crashing to the floor. Take that out for now. Just tap the bolt out with something until it falls out and you can get the shock out. Just pull it out from the bottom. Need to feed this preload adjuster as well. Just make sure I've got it not getting tangled up with anything. That's the old shock out. It's not in a very good condition, as you can see. I won't throw it away though, I'll keep it for now. Seen better days, that. Fitting the new ones, just as you say, just the reverse of taking it out. Just feed it back in. Feed it into the brackets at the top. Put something underneath to support it. Just use my little scissor jack again, just to hold it in position. Takes a bit of fiddling around to get it right. Put the bolt on the end of a flexible magnet, just to feed it in through the brackets at the top into the shock absorber. Put that back in. Push the bolt through. Give it a hold, then you can start to tighten the nut back on the other side. Get it nice and tight. We use the cable tie on this side just to hold that in position. Using the scissor jack again, I'm just adjusting the swing arm height now. Just put a block of wood under the swing arm. I can adjust the swing arm just to line up the two bolts on the shock linkage, so I can get the bolts through. Because this shock absorber is slightly different length to the other one, so I need to adjust it slightly to get the bolts through. It's just a case of tightening up the two bolts on the bottom of the shock. Also check your chain tension, because it was slightly loose after I did this, so to do that as well. It's just a case of putting the socket on the other side, put it somewhere where it can't turn, it'll just jam somewhere, so you can tighten the bolts up. That's it, that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something.